In this video, I don't know quite um, how to articulate what I think the response is going to be as it relates to martial arts. More specifically, cultural martial arts that has been around, some for a few hundred years, even some in more modern times within the past 30 to 40 years. My system is one. Uh, and some that have even been around for thousands of years. Now, most of us, when we first heard of martial arts, people who are from the baby boomer generation, my generation for the most part, and around that time, and of course, subsequent generations, Generation X and millennials and so forth, those are modern day babies in the martial arts as far as I see it. But back during my time, most of us, when we first saw martial arts, it was when Asian martial arts instructors began to teach military people in the U.S. Hand to hand combat. And then some of them came or migrated from their country over here and eventually opened up martial arts school, karate, jiu-jitsu, and kung fu, and so forth, because of the recognition that was garnered by Bruce Lee's becoming a star in Asia and even in America. And he sort of opened up that door, that Pandora's box of martial arts, that everybody wanted to do martial arts across the planet. You know, Bruce Lee was the impetus, he was the catalyst, if you will, that made martial arts what it is today. And had it not been for him, many of us probably would have never studied and or trained in the martial arts. It probably would have been a little bit later coming to this part of the world. But thank God for him. Now, there are people who want to hate and say, well, there you go with the Bruce Lee thing again. You know, there were other great martial artists. I'm not denying that. There were other great martial artists. So I've said it. I hope that appeases you and make you feel a little bit better. For those of you who don't like Bruce Lee for some reason, that's neither here nor there with me. You have your own personal preferences, as it were. I believe you should love everybody. But I do believe that there are some people that are here on this earth, that were put on this earth during certain parts of our existence, that just are the poster child for what they have done. For example, there's only one Elvis. There'll never be anyone else that could ever be equal to Elvis in what he did. There was only one Michael Jackson. There will never ever be anyone who could be equal to Michael Jackson in the way in which he performed and just his type of music, his entertainment. There will never be another Prince. There will never be another Stevie Wonder, a blind performer who learned to play all of these instruments as a blind man. And his music is just so eclectic. His music is just so different. No one can truly mimic it. And Bruce Lee was one of those individuals too, and so was Dr. J and some of the other ball players during their time and so forth, and Michael Jordan. There'll never be anyone else on the level of those individuals quite like them. Not to say that there are not other great players, other musicians, other artists, and so forth, because there are. I'm just simply saying. But all of what I just said was just sort of to fill in what I'm about to say. Now, to all of you that have devoted a significant amount of your life in terms of years, blood, sweat, and tears to the martial arts, your particular craft, I commend you. My hat goes off to you. I appreciate you. And keep up the good work, keep up the training, keep up the teaching, and so forth. This is not an indictment against anyone. This is just something to get us all to think. We in America, now, America is a melting pot of many cultures, but I have seen people in the martial arts that they have embodied so much of what they have done from other cultures that they actually forgot who they were on some level. Let me just cut right to it. I'm not Japanese. I've studied Japanese martial arts. I've studied jiu-jitsu, judo, and some karate, Japanese. I can count to 10 in Japanese. Ichi ni san shi go roku shihi hachikuju. Okay? That doesn't necessarily mean anything. It just means I can count to 10. I know what ogoshi is. Tai toshi, ippon seoinage, marota seoinage, ukimi, zenku sadachi, kibadachi, marota seoinage. I've already said that. Mawashi giri. Now, those are Japanese terms and techniques that I have learned from the Japanese art, but I'm not Japanese. So I maintain my identity as who I am. I don't want to get caught up so much into the Japanese culture that I forget who I am and my own culture. Do you sort of see where I'm going with this? Same thing is true with the Korean martial arts. I studied Korean martial arts as well, Tong Sudo and Taekwondo. I can count to 10 in Korean. Hana dual set net dasu yasu ilgab yudob aho yo. Idiwa, come here. Chulse, line up. Anjo, sit. Yaruset, stand up. Bali Bali, hurry. Teacher, Sabam. Master teacher, Sabam Nem. Grandmaster, Kuksanem. Korean flag. Dojang. It's your training hall of your school. Apchagi, front kick. Boido apchagi, jump front kick. Or apcha uluki. Chungdan, songdan, hadan. That's Korean terminology. I study Korean martial arts as well. But I'm not Korean. I still maintain my own identity. I don't want to be Korean. I don't want to be Japanese. That's their culture. The Japanese martial arts. Korean martial arts is their culture. And the same is true with the Chinese martial arts. I studied Chinese martial arts. Mabu, horse stance. Chung Choi, sun fist. Byoji, spear hand, Wing Chun. Okay, Chi Sao, sticky hands, Danchi. My thing is this. Even though I came up during those early days of the late 60s, early 70s in the martial arts, and I, like many others, studying Asian martial arts because it was what became available to us during those years. And many Asians came, proliferated our territories over here in America, various cities and states, and began to open up Taekwondo schools and Kuksowan schools and Japanese karate schools such as Shotokan and Goju-Ryu, and even Okinawan schools, Shuri-Ryu, and nowadays, I didn't mention the Kung Fu schools like the Tai Chi Chuan, Tai Chi if you will, Yang or Chang style, whatever style of Tai Chi it was, or Ting Shin Pai, or Hung Gar, or whatever it was, or even Bagua Zhang. Those are all Chinese martial arts. But they began to open these schools over here in America. And I think a lot of times we got so captivated by it because it was now being shown on television and it was coming to the big screen. The Asian martial arts became a thing of the present for the Americans at the time because it was great action entertainment. We didn't fully understand it, but everybody wanted to do it. The Shaw Brothers, Golden Harvest, Run Run Shaw, uh, these various movie companies began to put out all of these martial arts movies, and then we just was overwhelmed. Everybody wanted to study martial arts, but we were studying and training in Asian martial arts. But what do we have? Western boxing? Pretty much so. So this might seem like to you that this is a rant on, but I want to sort of validate what I'm saying. Uh, I noticed in my martial arts career, I'm a judge. I'm an official judge in a lot of different types of martial arts venues. And I've watched white and black martial arts practitioners that have studied Asian martial arts perform. Now, most of you who study martial arts, you know what the word kata is, or pums, or hung. We're talking about forms. So I've watched these guys and I've judged these guys and gals come up, and some of them will speak in Japanese or Korean. And these are Americans. And they would speak as if they were Japanese. And they would state what their kata was and what their school was and who their instructor was and what the form was about to be presented to the judges and so forth. And they use Japanese a lot of times, or Korean terminology, even Chinese terminology, and what have you. And they were so caught up in that, where I felt, and I still do feel, they have no real uniqueness or individuality. They could run these forms precise. As I said, I have judged, I have scored many, many competitors in my career. Beautiful people. But the thing that has gotten me and has always made me wonder is, while you're running this form, this kata, from this other culture, Japanese, Korean, or Chinese, where are you at? Have you lost who you are culturally? So I said that to say this. You should not beat up on individuals who want to cross train, so to speak, in martial arts. I've seen people who are just purely Japanese stylists that are American. I've seen people who are purely Chinese stylists that are American. I've seen people who are purely Korean stylists that are American. But what part of American is in what you're doing? It's great to give respect and honor to the founder of a Japanese art. It's great and wonderful to give respect and honor to a Chinese master of a particular art that you choose to participate in, even Korean. But don't forget, that's not your culture. That's theirs. No one can claim it better than, or no one can hold stake or claim to it than those people who created it. So when I mentioned cross training a moment ago, I'm talking about people who can say, I'm going to tear myself away from this Japanese system just a little bit, and I'm going to add a little bit of me. I'm going to pull away a little bit from this Chinese system and a little bit away from this Korean style or Vietnamese or Muay Thai, whatever, wherever it came from. And I'm going to put a little me in there, because I matter. I count too. What about me? Because I'm a black man who have a family history of coming from a specific and a particular culture. So why am I giving so much credence, paying so much attention to someone else's culture, and adopting and adapting that into my life, where I forget my own and dismiss my own? Do you see what I'm saying? And I'm saying this as respectful and as kind as I possibly can. That's like saying, if you're Japanese You pick up American culture and forget that you're Japanese. And all you're doing is following American culture. But what culture does America really have? Because we are a melting pot, remember? Same thing is true if you're Chinese or Korean or Vietnamese or Taiwanese or Cambodian. You're picking up American culture and dismissing your own. Those people won't do it. Those people still identify with who they are. You see, when Koreans, Japanese, and Chinese specifically, when they migrate to America, they have their own communities and they keep their culture alive. They still eat their traditional meals, even though they might participate in the American diet and or cuisine on some level, but for the most part, they maintain their cultures when they come here to America. So how is it that we that are Americans who were born here adopt something else that belongs completely to another culture, and we embrace it so tightly as if it was ours all along? So I'm going to conclude by saying this, and hopefully I can wrap this up not only in terms of time, but wrap it up in your brain so you know where I'm really, really coming from. I'm saying this: be yourself. Don't let someone else's culture define you. And if they don't like it, you need to think about why they don't like it. Maybe you need to have this conversation with those Japanese instructors that you might have, or those Chinese or those Korean instructors that you might have. It's good that they're teaching you martial arts and self-defense and so forth under their culture. But please don't do yourselves a disservice and forget your own culture. And if you don't know what your culture is, maybe you just ought to. Maybe you need to do your own research and put as much time into finding out who you really are, instead of using somebody else's identity and culture to identify yourself. That was it. This is pretty deep. You see what I'm saying? You see, I still have as a part of my martial arts system Chinese, Japanese, and Korean martial arts, because that's what I was taught and that's what I learned. But one thing that I have above and beyond those arts is my own sense of individuality. I'm not dominated in my psyche by those other cultures. I respect them in their respective place. And that's really just it. So when you see me and I talk martial arts, I appreciate everybody, but I can't forget me. This is Brother Teacher. I hope that this was of some value to you, and I hope that it was thought-provoking to you that are studying martial arts and have been studying martial arts for a while and training in the martial arts, and maybe you that are about to venture off into the martial arts. Think on these things. Never, ever lose your sense of who you really are. That was all I was saying. I'm out.